Welcome everyone to Microsoft 365 Virtual Marathon. Thank you all for attending, and we hope you're having a great conference. I'd like to introduce Robert Mulsow. Robert will be presenting a session titled Private Channels in Microsoft Teams, a deep dive. Okay, Robert, take it away.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Great being here. Great to run this marathon with all of you. I really love this approach because I'm a marathon runner. If you don't believe me, then I have a picture here for you. And this is here, you can see me on the left-hand side. And this was Berlin 2.5 years ago. So I'm running with a costume. This makes fun. Because I'm also very proud of achieving the Wall of Fame for the Big 6 marathons. So Jeff Tieper is also a runner and is also achieving to run in all these 6 cities. If you don't trust me, here there's a little bigger snapshot. I'm really on this wall, and that's really great to walk around the globe and to run here. Therefore, it's very special for me to be also now part of this virtual marathon and speaking to you guys. Yeah, just a very quick information to me. So I'm actually a digital transformer speaker as right now, a blogger, and with all the stuff, of course, I share a lot across Microsoft, help people, help companies and so on. And Microsoft awarded me for that with an MVP title for the Office Apps and Services category. I'm also an independent consultant with my company SkillBridge. And I'm focusing process optimization and standing on the 3 pillars: user adoption, governance, and compliance and security. And so for my private life, just a little sneak preview, I'm actually an outdoor freak. So I love running, virtual marathon and marathon running. Sailing is also a great thing. And in this Corona time, I experience this cooking is also nice. And if I can do this outdoor, even better. And when traveling is allowed again, I love to travel and visit different places. So that's just me. Feel free to follow me on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and also go to my blog if you want. So therefore, would love to stay in touch. All this information, or also in the end again, to stay in touch. And also some paperwork before we start. You may have seen this already. You know, the SharePoint conference was renamed. Just FYI. Furthermore, of course, a big thank you to all the sponsors that we have here. You know, those community events, these are free for you, but there's still some money needed for some organizations. So therefore, thank you to all these sponsors. Furthermore, again, the Raffle, please go to the sponsor sessions, watch their videos to get the answer in the Raffle. Also, this link and the little QR code for that you will get at the end of my session. Again, same of this is community. We want to help each other, and also there's a chance to donate some money for this organization to get through this pandemic and in general to do something good. And in the end, you will also find these hashtags, not the hashtag, these QR codes again to value my session. Of course, we love feedback also to the entire event. So please do this. And I really recommend take out your mobile phone because I want to play with you a little gamification game through my session. So I have a little own Raffle. So therefore, take your mobile phones out, get ready, because this is what you need then just in a minute to get ready for our quiz. So now we can start. This is my very quick agenda. I take it like a kiss, keep it short and simple. So therefore, just 3 points. Why are we here? So why are private channels such a big thing? So we know this already. Just sharing all the very comprehensive approach that you know everything, where we come from, and why some other solutions are not sufficient. And then we dig really deep into the architecture and also the control functions so that you don't have to worry about this myths and, oh, we're losing control and everything will be hidden and we can't see anymore what's inside private channels. We will play Mythbusters in this section, and then at the end, I give you some recommendations for the rollout. And we also see some scenarios where private channels is really a great case where you can use it, and that finally Microsoft rolled them out. Okay, so I need to quickly start the quiz. Give me a sec. So therefore now you can join the meeting by just with a camera joining this, or make a photo of this code. Or on the top, you can go to menti.com and then provide the code. Just give yourself any nickname which you would like to use, and then we can go ahead. This QR code and the this URL will also be shown on the next 2 slides. I just continue now, but it would be great if you also join my little gamification session here. Okay, so let's start. Why are we here? Why is private channels such a big thing? On Microsoft User Voice, we had more than 25,000 votes to get this feature. It was the biggest feature or the biggest wish ever. Now it's this videos 3x3 video screens that we can see more videos, but beforehand it was really private channels with the most votes, and 25,000 was really great. And yeah, why is this such a big thing? Why were so many votes? Because in a real, in a perfect world, before we come to the real world, we just have here our team. So 6 people here, and we want to share files, have our regular meetings, work on tasks, chats, and so on and so forth. And all would be good because we have teams for that. However, we are not living in an ideal world. We are living in a real world. So this means in this team here, we have some managers. And these managers have some, let's call it private topics. So they need to discuss about promotions or some, the worst case, disciplinary cases for some team members here about this team. So why should they go to another team to talk about members of this team? So therefore, this is a case where the management also need to share files, have regular meetings, and have chats on the context of this specific team. This is one case, and then even worse, we have maybe a sub-project, a submarine project, let's say for the summer party, Christmas party, whatever, which some of these guys organized for the rest of the team. So it belongs to this team. It's a team Christmas party, and they also need to track some tasks, have some conversations, and so on. So this is actually how the world looks like. And therefore, hey, we can say, we have teams, just create an additional team, or we have chats, just do this in a chat. And I now would like to show you why a chat is not sufficient. Because for a team, we heard already, creating a totally new team, which is totally separate, has no relation actually to the other team. It's also hard to manage, hard to administer, and also harder to find the information. Did I put the information on this team, on this team, on this team? So therefore, it's not always the best to create constantly new teams. So therefore, in this case, and there are some scenarios where simply a new team is not sufficient. It's not the best way. What is now with a chat? So I now go into Teams here. I go into this chat here now, and I prepared a little chat with my demo queen editor. And there's even, I added another guy, for example. So we were chatting here back and forth, and the first thing that we can see is, yes, we have here some tabs. We can also add some additional connectors, but not all. So if you have added some connectors already in the Teams conversation, the Teams channel, then we'll be able to see that there are much more connectors, for example. We could also have directly here a video call or a normal phone call. So actually, I could say, yes, I have everything I need But no, one thing that is not that good in my opinion is like we don't have this threaded conversation, because we see here, oh yeah, I wrote something, then somebody else wrote something, so editor, and it's going back and forth, and sometimes I'm losing the focus. Are we still talking about the same, or did we change the topics meanwhile? Something like this. This is not that good in a chat view. What I can also do, for example, I can just upload a file, of course. So I just take it from my computer here. Take an easy scenario and take here just a screenshot from a community event. And this is now going to be uploaded. Come on. Here we go. I can send it. And at that point in time, I now shared this screenshot, this file, with all attendees of this chat. In this case, Edita and Steffen in this case. This means, okay, they have access to it now. What is now going on if I add an additional person? So I would like to add people. So like another one, and I said, yes, please even include the history, but it will not include the sharing of the file, because this is now an in-time sharing of this file. If I now add people after I shared these files, they will not have access to these files. So I have to go to my OneDrive and then additionally share this file then with this newly added person. And for example, if I delete some persons again from this chat, then I also have to go to OneDrive again and delete the sharing again for this person. So it's not good. So this is a case where chats really have their limitations, and where it's not good to just use a chat, and also leaving the scope of the team, and also then have these limitations that I just showed to you. Okay, then let's jump back to our presentation and get ready for the first quiz question. Here again, scan the code so that you will be ready. If your connection won't sleep, then just click on reload, and we now go ahead and I start the first question. Start the quiz. So the faster you answer, the more points you get. Okay. So how many votes were given on Teams user voice for private channels? Less than 1,000 or 10,000, 25,000 or 40,000? So time is up. Only one voted, okay, but 25,000 is the right one. Next question. Please, if somebody, okay, you're a little late. Come on, next question. Oh, my connectivity is quite low here. Well, my internet is done with its breakfast. Come on. It does not really get through. This is good because this is live. We can see that's really live. I tried now. Let's try. Okay. Now it's good. Okay. Second question. Why are chats not sufficient? What's missing? Which text editor or PDF uploads are missing? Or is it a threaded conversation? Or is it call and conference? I was also too late. Now with some more. You were right. So the threaded conversation is missing and persistent file sharing is not there. So right stuff. Now we have so far the leaderboard. And Rachel is leading so far. Great. But nothing is lost. We have a couple of more questions after the next section. Thank you so far. Keep your mobile phone close to you. We will need it later again. Okay, let's go ahead with the next section. So now we dig deep into the architecture. Just as a little wrap up, some of you may know this already. So when we just talk about standard channels, we have here our structure of a team, and this is now separated with channel 1, channel 2, and in these channels we can have different tabs, of course, where we share the resources. And I usually take these channels as communication boundaries. So that means when in one channel we talk about the logistics of this virtual marathon, about inviting attendees and so on, the other channel can be about how to organize a session, so to make the schedule and so on. So these are really separate topics, and therefore it could make sense to have their separate channels. Or to share with you this team for this conference, we used really a different channel per language, because we are also presenting different languages, and this is also a great way to separate them. What's now the difference to private channels? For private channel, it's not only a communication boundary, it's really a security boundary. So therefore, you first have to be member of the team. Sure, makes sense, because this is the outer security boundary, and only if you're member of the team, then you can become member of a private channel. That means the members and owners of a private channel is only a subset of all the members and owners of the entire team. Pretty clear. This is how's the current state. I hear and I saw a couple of user voice votes that, hey, I don't want to have this constellation. I want to add somebody directly to the private channel and not to the team itself. And this is just my recommendation. Go to user voice, vote for it if this is also interesting for you. But so far, the setting is like, first you need to add somebody to the team, and then you can add it to a private channel. Where's now the content stored of such a private channel? Surprise! Every private channel gets its own site collection. So this site collection has an own site collection template, which is this team channel dash #0. And yeah, this is quite clear because we want to separate from the security boundary, so that per site collection, we can also have some e-discovery functionalities. We can make external sharing on off and stuff like this. So therefore, having an own site collection is simply easy and really good to have a pure separate place and not just a subfolder in a library and then work with single item permissions, blah, blah, blah. It's not good. So therefore, I like this architecture that this is a separate site collection. The good thing is, when I show you this live just in a second, when I have my team here, I take this Flexergy team, and this private channel leadership is clearly stated that we have team name dash and channel name. This is the title of this site collection underneath a private channel. And even more, also on the URL, you can see there is title dash channel name, so that you always have this relationship that, hey, this is a channel which belongs to a team, and therefore this is not any kind of standalone site collection. So it's really great to stay up to date with what's the relationship to the regarding team. And if even this is not fine enough, then we also have this highlighted information here that, hey, this is now a folder connected to a Microsoft team, or you have the link on the left-hand side. You can navigate directly to the site collection of the parent team. So therefore, this is really great and clear, transparent, that you are now navigating into within a private channel, which belongs to a parent team. All right, this was the content, so files that you share there, which goes then into this site collection. What about the conversations? So in a private channel, we have this threaded conversation, and usually in a standard channel, as we can see here from the screenshot, it goes into the group email mailbox. So therefore, everything will be stored there. This is not nice if we want to have really a separate place, a secured place, if we put this on the same group mailbox, because then we don't have the separate storage here. So therefore, for private channels, this is different, that the conversations really live in Teams, but the repository, so the information will be stored on the regarding mailbox of the members of this private channel. So a replication of each of these conversations will be replicated into each of these users' mailboxes. So this is important to know, that we don't put this into a group mailbox now. It's like with chats or with Skype for Business previously, for example, it will be stored the regarding copy on each user's mailbox. And this is the big difference here. What does this mean for information protection? So on the e-discovery side, it fully supports private channels. So you can just put e-discovery, retention holds and all the stuff also on site collections of private channels. Super easy. You can also query these mailboxes. For that, you need, of course, to add at least one member's mailbox to your query, to your e-discovery query. And then you can also scan and search for content for e-discovery reasons through the conversations of the private channel. All of this is, of course, manageable via PowerShell if you want. And you can also find all these private channel site collections that are associated with the team. I will show you this also in the end in a demo. And also for the retention, some retention policies in the tenant, so that this site collection should only be retained for 6 months, for example, and then it should be deleted automatically. Also, this can be used easily because private channel site collection is in the end just a site collection, so you can just manage it as you get used to it. This should be also the same for the conversation within the private channel. We have it for standard channels already, but for private channels, it's not that yet there, but it should come later. It's on the roadmap for Microsoft. Okay, sounds everything great. I can do almost everything that I could do with normal site collections, but there are some boundaries in regards to the site collection limit, because when you say, Rob, when now so many site collections are added for each and every private channel, I'm losing control. No. First of all, the site collection limit was increased to 2 million site collections per tenant. And in the SharePoint Administration Center, site collections of private channels will not be visible. You can always search it with PowerShell, but will not be visible because in SharePoint Admin Center, you should only check your intranet site collection or group site collection. And this is an important change from the traditional IT administrator to our roles now. Infrastructure is now responsibility of Microsoft. They have to take care that everything is running smoothly, fast, and so on. We don't have to take care of this anymore. We have to take care of information governance, of structuring information, and therefore just look through Teams, just work with Teams, just collaborate, and there's no need to limit anyhow the amount of site collection, because this was just reason for the architecture guys, so that my SharePoint on-premise farm is running fast. This is not our responsibility now. This goes to Microsoft. Therefore, make this mind shift. So don't get fear when you hear about the site collection thing. So far, we can create 30 private channels per team, and in addition to 200 standard channels, and you can add 250 members per private channel. At launch, there are more planned, which are now at the moment. Okay, now it's showtime. Also listen for some of the questions in the quiz afterwards. I would like to show you here this little private channel thing. So if you haven't created it yet, if you enabled private channels, I come to this in the next demo where you can do this. If it's enabled and you want to add a new channel, then it's similar like the privacy in a for creating a new team, because you have here the choice to select the privacy if you want to create a private or a standard channel, and that's pretty much it. I call it new private. And then you can go ahead and add some members if you want. You can also skip and do this later. This is how it goes, and then you can see a private channel was created. What I just showed you before was this leadership channel on the screenshot. Also here, when I go on the files and I want to open this in the SharePoint browser view, here we got it. Okay. Let me through. Here we see in the URL already, there is this team name and channel name. And this is pretty much the view that I shared on the screenshot. Now, one interesting thing in regards to sharing, because usually you should manage all these users in your private channels through Teams. So sorry for jumping back. You go to your private channel here, leadership here, I click on the 3 dots and I can go to add members, and you should only do it this way, that you use Teams to manage your members, to add or also to manage the members of your channel. This is how it should go. But you could, you know this maybe from SharePoint. SharePoint is still SharePoint, so therefore you could still say, hi, I would like to share this app here now. To the site settings, what was the best way? Set information. Come on, SharePoint. Oh, it's now grayed out here. Okay, it's good that this is now removed, because what I just wanted to say, if you still know the URL to manage the specific permissions, here I get it now, then you can manage specific permissions. So Shadows ever advanced, so it's not that handy and by purpose, because Microsoft wants you to do this through Teams. But here you can see the normal groups that I have from Teams. So just the full control, the owners and the members, and also a visitor group where you can now add your users. But important to know, there's a sync from when you change it in Teams to add members and teams, sync directly down to these groups. But if you add users here into the owner or into the members groups, it will not be synced up to Teams. It will be removed roughly every 4 hours. So therefore, this is important to know, and this Microsoft enforce you kind of that you manage these memberships through Teams and not through SharePoint. However, if you have very specific requirements because you want to add some readers, so who have only read access to these files stored in the site collection, or you want to create special permission levels, these will not be deleted. In this way, you can continue to use them, but it's highly not recommended. You were able to see how complicated it is to navigate here. So just a normal end user or not even a power user will not be able to manage this. So therefore, take it easy. Life is complex enough. Manage membership of a private channel through Teams. Okay. That's so far how to work with private channels. What's next? Next is the question. So take out your mobile phones again. We will go for the next question. click on reload if you have to. So, and here it comes. Next question is, hello Internet. So, where do files and conversations of a private channel live? In the SharePoint site collection and the user mailbox, in OneDrive and the Teams mailbox, or in Yammer and Stream? Everyone right? Perfect. I like you guys. This is how it goes. So was fastest. Oh, Felix did a good job. It's now slightly, no, Rachel still, but okay, Felix was the fastest. Great. Perfect. Let's go ahead. That makes fun, isn't it? So, no, I stay here, but going back to the presentation. So these were all about the architecture, and we're now going into the control function. So for all the security and compliance officers, we have and we stay in control even when we enable private channels, because as a global or as a Teams admins, you have the choice, should we use it? Yes or no? And this is what you can switch off or on. Second, you can assign specific users this policy. So you don't have to switch it on for everybody. You can say, I want to use it, but only for you, and you, for example. And then only a few people who performed or successfully completed, for example, a little training or so, only these people will then be allowed to create a private channel. So if I now would be a member of this policy and can use now private channels, then I can be a team owner. And as a team owner, I can still control what should be the setting for my team. So if I allow also for team members to create private channels, yes or no. And if I don't want that my users, my normal members can create private channels, then I can just uncheck it. Even if you have checked this, that every member can create a private channel, if he or she does not was assigned from a global admin this policy, still he or she will not be able to create this. So therefore, it's really a threaded control that you have here. But if this is true, so a member of a team is also assigned the policy that he or she can create private channel, and per team it's enabled to create private channels, then you can create it and you can manage it. So that means you can add members, add guests, and all the stuff. So therefore, a very good view that you go threaded. Now, two slides. One slide, who can see what in a private channel. And in general, a global admin can actually do everything. They can see the name, description, channel owner, and so on. They can see also the content on a private channel, if he or she is a member of it, and can also timestamp of last activity. In little asterisks, by default, he cannot see the content on private channels of any other private channel he or she is not yet member of it. But this is an asterisk. I will show you this in a second. But for the team owner, of course, well, a global admin can see everything from all private channels. For the tenant, a team owner can of course only see it for his or her specific team. The team member can of course only see for his own private channel and nothing more. So you can really see I, as a global admin, stay in control. And this was only about seeing. And now what about what can administrators or owners or whatever do? And this is now important. Global admins can always add members and guests or remove them. That means even if by default I was not added as a member to a private channel from any private channel of the tenant, I could do this because I have to maintain this tenant. And if I not get access to specific areas, then how should I be able to manage this? So there's a security requirement to not do this. I understand this, but in general, in worst case, every global or Teams admin can always add themselves to any specific private channel. So therefore, no myth. I always stay in control. And then this control goes, of course, down to the team owner, team member, channel owner. and channel owner, of course, for his or her own channel. I just show you this live in a second. Also, last but not least, you can share and manage all this with PowerShell. The only thing you need to do is load the latest PowerShell commandlet. I think now we are at version 22, I guess. I have 2020, so 1020 in my tenant at the moment. But you only have to have 18 at least to get these updated and new commandlets. These updated new commandlets means that you get additional switch for the get team channel, for example, which is called membership type. So therefore I can separate, please give me all the team channel which are marked as private. Just easy example. And this is also what I'm going to share with you just now here in demo. All right, so first of all, security, compliance, and control. I start top down. I, as a global and Teams administrator, I can go here in my Teams admin dashboard to my Teams policies. And here, by default, you only have one policy, the global org-wide policy. And there you can say, hey, globally, I don't want to allow to create private channels, and therefore you can switch this off for all your users in this case. This is how you can do it. And then create a new policy that I created here, where this is, of course, switched on. And here you can then select it and then say manage users. And here you can then add the users that you want to assign this policy. So this is the easiest way how to do it. And you can also do this in bulk on the user panel here, for example. Furthermore, what else do I have? So I have manage teams. And in this case, I can select any team. I take, for example, this event planning, because I want to use this also later for you. And here I can see, okay, in this event planning, there are two members, it's me and editor. And here I, as a global admin, as a team admin, I can see all these channels. So attendee management, budget planning is private here, for example, and there's also marketing marked as private. And in this case, when I go into budget planning, I know, because I prepared this little demo, I'm not an owner. But I, as a global admin, was able to see it. And now I could just add myself so that I would be able in future to also manage this private channel here as well, and also will be able to see what content is stored inside. Don't get worried about, oh, they can look into each private channel. Those users with a global admin or Teams admin account should not exceed one hand, and in smaller companies should be only maybe one or two users or so. So therefore, these users have especially a special NDA or whatever. So therefore, no worries that those users can add themselves. It's just for manageability. All right. Yep, that was all what I want to show here. Additionally, then one step lower, if you're then an owner of a team, and in this case, I'm owner of this FlexRG team. In this case, I can say manage a team, and also here I can see this channel tab, and also can see all these channels that are here. I can also see the private channels. I want to call this event planning, by the way. And here, good to know, this budget planning, where I'm not a member of, is not visible here. But still, if I want to manage this team as an owner of this team, which I'm here, I can still see there is this private channel. And then I can say, okay, please delete this private channel. If Dita, in this case, she's owner of it, is refusing to add me, because this is what I can find out. Then I can just delete it, or I can reach out to my global admin. Hey, she's refusing my request, or our global policy is every Teams owner should also be at least member of each private channel of his or her team. Then you can always have your procedures to get added to those private channels as well. Okay, that's so far for this. And then last but not least, some PowerShell. So I just want to get this event planning team. Of course, I prepared something already, but the easiest way is just to connect to Microsoft. So connect-Microsoft Teams is to connect to the tenant. As a global admin, I did this before already. And here then I have event planning. Yep, this is the display name and the regarding group ID underneath. And this is now what I need. Copied. Because now I want to get the team channels group ID, which I just copied here. And here, this is a special switch membership type. Show me all the private channels in this case. And here we can see this team has now marketing and budget planning. So this is how it goes. And you can write now your own script, or there's a nice script, private channel management out there. I will show you this also later. So there's a summary slide with all the links. Oh, here I have to. Because this script or this little application can do much more than just searching for private channels. So therefore, this is also adding now the Skype for Business Online PowerShell module. But the nice thing here is that you can just select the regarding management that you would like to provide. I will now select the number 9 because I want to see all members and all owners of all private channel across the tenant. And now the script is going ahead and scan now my entire tenant. It's not that big. Maybe it takes maybe up to a minute, I would say. We can wait. But of course, I've prepared a little thing here because the output will be then a CSV file. And what you get in this case is this output. And when we go, so where we can use then, of course, all this filtering. And when I filter, for example, down to event planning, and we can see, yes, there was this channel marketing where editor is the owner, and I were also able to see it as a member. And then there was only the specific private channel only for editor where I was not added, but I can find it out with PowerShell. So this is how it goes. This really nice script I can recommend to stay in control what's going on in your tenant, because the Teams Admin Center is not listing this up that well, because you have to click on each team to think or to find out if there is a private channel or not. Therefore, this PowerShell script is much nicer in this case. Okay, second last question for our quiz. So mobile phones out. So, sorry, not on my side. I go here on the next page. And as a tenant admin, you always stay in control of private channels? Yes or no? So, what is the majority saying? Most of you said yes, that's right. Perfect. And then let us come to the very last slide, content slide, because then we talk about my recommendation, how to roll it out. So first of all, and sorry for the bad wording, read the fucking manual, because when there's a new feature rolling out, you need to understand what can it do for you, what are the feature, does it really have an impact for you, is it really useful? So therefore, make yourself ready what's inside. So therefore, understanding the feature. And then for me, the most important thing, link for the question, is you need to define your use cases. So do you really need this? If for your company processes, there's no need to private channels. There's not the scenario with a submarine project or where some managers want to discuss something else in a private channel, or some other scenarios that I am going to show you just in a second. So therefore, if there is no use case for you, don't blame the feature, just don't use it. Switch it off and then you are fine. So therefore, this is for me the most important thing. Do you have a valid use case? If yes, use it. If no, don't use it. And if yes, then third step, configure regarding policies. So who should be able to create private channels? And also on the teams level, should members be able to create private channels, and so on and so forth. And the fourth step is then deliver the regarding training to those people who should create private channels or should be aware that we have private channels, for example, and then you can go ahead and roll it out for this use cases. I have 4 more minutes. I want to share some of those use cases, which could be useful for you guys as well. First of all, I stay here now with event planning. In this case, for example, I have separate conversations here, but this marketing or this budget planning, for example, was private because somebody who is helping organizing this event with catering, or with attendee management, maybe catering some externals. So maybe these caterers are here. They should not see the budget. So how much money we are able to spend. So therefore, this is a good place to have this budget planning as a private channel, because I can still work with external parties here, but they will not be able to see this private content, which is then only shared in this private channel. So therefore, this is a very great example to not create an additional team or to chat and so on. We stay in the focus of this event planning. Another scenario could be if I have a super big project, of course, which consists of different sub-projects, and only a few people work on this sub-project, some other work on the other sub-project, but there's a kind of confidentiality, and therefore they should not see these other sub-projects. Could be also another scenario. For schools, for example, for education, when you have your different subjects here, there could be a teacher area, of course, where the teacher discuss about some people. Very similar if you have a team for your team, so one team for a department. And then you also have actually the beginning introduction where the management want to talk about some members of the team about promotions or whatever. This is then part of the team, and I don't need to switch to a chat or an additional team. So similar to education stuff here. Or also, last but not least, if you have an adoption team, for example, to share about planning, have this global communication. Hey, we now roll out teams, and these are the use cases, how we want to roll it out. You also can have there a champions network where these champions who help you roll it out. So some of these folks from the employees can first discuss about this. So they feel evaluated, they feel appreciated, they can discuss on the strategy of the company. And this should only take place in this private channel before it will be communicated in this adoption team for everyone. Same with these executive sponsorships or with these management, for example. This is maybe then really for these managers where they talk about budgets, for example, as well. So these are some examples where private channels are really, really useful, and I don't have to jump between teams or jump to a chat or something. So this is a really good one. Okay, then the next slide is just summarizing all these information. You get all the slides, of course, provided from the organization team from this session. As well, the session is recorded and will be available on YouTube. So therefore, feel free to stay there. And here we have some additional documentation. The last one here, the ready-made script, is a great script that I showed you. And let me summarize here before we come to the last question. So we understood why it is a so frequently desired feature, and yeah, finally we got it. We also saw in the architecture that there's this transparent relationship from a private channel site collection to its parent team, and this I like, which I really like. And then third, we also saw that we always stay in control. We can enforce policies. We also have our security for e-discovery and so on and so forth. And then I shared in the end my 4 steps or recommendation how to roll it out. And again, for me, important is, do you have a valid use case? Yes or no? And only then you can go ahead and make yourself familiar with this feature and check what's going on. All right, then last question. So where do we have it? Here we go. Oh, I forgot to show the leaderboard before. Okay, before we come to the last question, this was now the status from the last question. Now, really last question. Come on. What's most important before using private channels? Deeply understand the functionality, have a valid use case, apply governance policies, or train all end users about this functionality. So everyone voted. Most of you followed my recommendation. Great. So it's about the valid use case, not only with private channels, also with other features. So let's see who's the winner. And oh, this is close. Adam, wow, great, congratulations, awesome. Timo second, Rachel, great stuff, love it. Thank you for playing with me this game. Absolutely awesome, that was fun. And thanks a lot for joining. Great audience here. Here again, some links to stay in touch if you wish. Also, I'm more than happy to get your feedback if you like this gamification, for example. I'm happy for 5 stars, of course, but I'm more than happy in general for the feedback. Same for the event. Also the QR code for the raffle. I hope you enjoyed this. We are now open for further questions that you have. And for all the other guys who have no questions, feel free to leave. And I wish you a great rest of the day, beginning of the day or whatever, and great rest of the conference. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you very much, Robert. We have one question here. Yeah. If you can see it. Are owners of a team directly added to a private channel? Can all owners see the private channel?
Great question and great requirement, because this is also my personal recommendation that every owner should be at least a member of a private channel in his or her team, but it's not added automatically. So if a member creates a private channel, the owner will not take care of this. Only if this owner clicks from time to time on manage team and then click on channel, and then he or she can see, oh, there's now a new private channel. And then as I showed, you can click on who's the owner and then ask this owner, please add me to this private channel. So therefore, this is how they can see it.